Leaves are crunchy, the breeze is chilly, and reds, yellows, and oranges can be seen everywhere. Autumn has arrived, and with it comes the seasonal rotation of warm, spicy fall flavors. Apple pies, pumpkin spice lattes, and squash are a few examples of food items that come to mind when I think of these flavors. But there is one beverage that rises above the rest as the staple drink of fall. This beverage is apple cider, and I am here today to inform my Communications 110 class about apple cider. I will be discussing how apple cider is made at orchards, how to make apple cider at home, and some ways to customize apple cider. Now on to my main points. My first main point is how apple cider is made at orchards for mass consumption. The National Association of Cider Makers created a graphic in 2020 called Making Cider that describes the process they undergo to make their cider. The first step in this process is apple harvesting. The second step is milling and pressing. In this step, the apples are sorted and put into a pressing machine. After the apples are pressed, the third step is fermentation. This step is for alcoholic cider specifically. The pressed juice is put into barrels where it ferments. After fermentation is over, maturation must occur, which is where the cider sits and develops for weeks or up to many months. When it has been matured, blending is the fifth step that will occur. This is where different types of apple cider are mixed together to create a very specific flavor. Once this flavor has been achieved, then the cider will be filtered to remove any yeast sediment. In the final steps, it will be packaged and then sent off to be enjoyed. WRTV Indianapolis did a short segment on how apple cider is made in a video from October 15, 2015 called How Apple Cider is Made at Adrian Orchards, and this showed how Adrian Orchards made their specific type of apple cider. It is pretty similar to the National Association of Cider Makers, but it is a non-alcoholic cider. The first step that they do is they sort the apples by hand. They then crush these apples and then put the crushed apples onto a nylon cloth. On top of that nylon cloth goes a wooden piece called a cheese. They then repeat these steps a few more times, so then it is a stacks of nylon cloth, cheeses, and crushed apples. They put this stack into a pressing machine where the juices are pressed out. They then package that and sell it as cider. And I have just discussed my first main point, how apple cider is made by orchards for public consumption. My second main point is how to make apple cider at home without a press machine. So Surbhi Khera, in a recipe called How to Make Apple Cider at Home from June 21st, 2020, explains this process. First, you must put 7 apples into a pot with water, sugar, and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Boil this pot uncovered for 1 hour. After that hour is up, turn down the heat and simmer for 2 hours. Then you mash the apples and strain it through twice. After refrigeration, the apple cider is ready to be drank. And I have just discussed my second main point, how to make apple cider at home without a cider press. My third main point is ways you can customize apple cider and make it your own. So a December 2nd, 2014 article called 5 Fun Ways to Spice Up Your Apple Cider by Christine Gallery explains some interesting things to add to apple cider. A popular addition for people over 21 is alcohol, specifically wine. Another thing you can add is juice, such as cranberry juice, or teas, such as chai, and some milk. The final addition could be spices like cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, or star anise. And Colleen Ludovis put together a collection of 50 recipes in an article called 50 Recipes to Make with Apple Cider from September 3rd, 2019, that describes some recipes that you can make with apple cider. These recipes range from sweet to savory, and they include beverages, sides, entrees, and desserts. Some examples of recipes are apple cider biscuits, caramel apple floats, cider cheese fondue, and caramel apple strudel. And that was my third main point, some ways you can personalize your apple cider. And I have just discussed how apple orchards make cider for mass consumption, how to make apple cider at home, and some fun ways to personalize apple cider. Just like at an apple orchard where there are so many different things to do, such as apple picking, pumpkin patches, and petting zoos, there are so many different ways to enjoy apple cider. Everyone can find a certain type of thing that they love.